Okay. Hi.
Okay.
My name's Jane Batchelor. I'd just like to talk to you about my injury when I snapped my Achilles tendon. Basically, it was a series of things that happened over a weekend. It was February 2000 and we basically it was Valentine's night, so we'd gone out the night before, so we had a late night, and then the next day I played netball in the morning and it was very cold, hadn't really warmed up properly, and then into the third quarter of the game I can suddenly remember going down, falling and thinking, oh, that was a rough tackle, and then realising that there was nobody else around me, so obviously the Achilles had just snapped. As I say, it was a combination of it being cold and not warming up and things like that. So, and also I recently had done a little bit more exercise in terms of I've done some spinning classes and trying to extend my running a bit more, so maybe pushing it a bit too much. So this Achilles went, and then within a couple of hours we were sent to William Harvey and suddenly told there was going to be an operation. It was like, well, I just thought it was a sprain. So that was a bit of a shock. So suddenly my world sort of turned upside down, and how do I cope? How do I, I was obviously had 2 children to look after and a job, and it's just like, what do I do? Kind of went into automatic mode, and like a challenge. Yeah, I just saw it as a challenge. And people, I remember saying to people, people would say to me, don't you miss your sport? Because obviously I was in plaster, and I think I was in plaster for about 2 months, 2.5 months, and they sort of said, don't you miss your sport? But for me, everyday living was like running a marathon. I can remember within probably the first week of being in plaster and having had the operation, so obviously still affected by the drugs, going up to London and refusing sort of a lift and going up by train. And getting there, and it was just like, I was so tired. And I can remember sort of standing at the top of an escalator in London in the underground, sort of like, no, do I jump on this? What do I do? This is really scary. This is more scary than anything else I've done in terms of my mountain biking. It's just like, because I didn't know what was going to happen. So that was all sort of, I don't know. I look back and think it was exciting, but it wasn't then. It was hard work. I thought, I wanted to just keep going. Really, I couldn't see how I could just stop and get off the treadmill. I had to, keep working, and I had to keep going. So I thought I could have had 3 months off work from work, but I felt I didn't have the confidence to be able to leave, my work to somebody else, because I knew where everything was, and I couldn't think how anybody else could sort of step into my shoes on that. So that was the drive to keep going. But also, I remember saying, that at work, I remember a couple of times people said, I was getting in the way because I was in my crutches and plaster, and I was kind of getting in people's way, and it was just like, why didn't you just go home? And that was a bit of a shock, because I kind of thought, well, I'm doing the heroic thing here by going to work and doing stuff. So really, my message to anybody would be, take the time off. Life's too short. And because I used to get so tired at the end of the day, just living, I didn't have time to do my exercises as well as I should have done. And I think, that affected me. I think my recovery rate, although having said that, I am back doing stuff. I've been 7 years, no, 12 years. I don't know, it's really, really weird. I think it was only yesterday. I keep using it as an excuse for my bad stretching, and I go, oh, my Achilles tendon. And I think, well, actually, that was 10 years ago. It's a long time. So, I sort of think it has a sort of an effect from that time. What else?
So in what way does it still affect you, in kind of in hindsight?
Well, I still use it potentially maybe as a bit of an excuse, maybe a little bit, not too much, but just a bit. And so that's why my stretching isn't very good. But it shouldn't be like that. I think it was good at the time. I learned a lot about what it was like to be in a wheelchair, to be in crutches, without being sort of patronising. And I did, it was a learning curve for me in that sense. So I suppose in a way I don't have any regrets on how it went, but apart from I should have done exercises. Yeah, what else?
What was there anything that would you say in some way you lost maybe as a result of your injury, and also what have you gained either emotionally or kind of as a focus?
I wonder whether sometimes in my biking I'm pretty measured. Paul says I never seem really tired. So I never really push myself. So I always pace myself. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I do. I don't really. I've lost the sort of real competitive sort of streak of.
And what have you gained?
What have I gained? That you can get that you can actually get over injury, and that you can do stuff. I mean, my other injury was I had a really bad back, which was from getting back into exercise too soon after having an epidural with my daughter. Again, same silly thing, not doing the exercises that they suggested you do at the right time, but getting back into sport straight away. And I can remember going skiing about 3 or 4 months after having Luke and my son, and literally having to roll out of bed because I couldn't stand up straight, and going out skiing. I mean, in a way, why do that? In a way, I've lost lost time there maybe. I probably should have done, missed that ski holiday, done my exercises, and gone back a lot stronger. But I did have real back problems, and my back stiffened up. And although I could play netball still, I couldn't bend my back, and it took a physio to sort of get me doing those bending exercises to actually get rid of that. And then suddenly it was like, I have got a back problem, not a serious one. And at one stage I thought I was going to have to give up my skiing and my bike. Well, I hadn't really started biking, but give up my skiing because my back was so bad. And that was really devastating. That was like, this is serious. And I remember not being able to do a forward roll. Okay, why would you want to do a forward roll? Well, as a PE teacher, you've got to have basic things you can demonstrate. And I can remember saying to the doctor, this is serious, I can't do a forward roll, my back is so stiff. But through the physio, it actually, it got me, it wasn't, the injury had healed, but my body had compensated for that injury. So the lower back had stiffened up to compensate for the injury that actually wasn't there anymore. And so by doing the physio, I actually then, healed unstiffened my back, and then that was better.
And what was the physio treatment? Was it quite simple stuff, and it was just a case of just doing it?
Well, it wasn't even. It was a sort of a retired physio that kind of took me through some exercises, just rolling your back down and rolling your back. So it wasn't.
So very simple stuff, but really just consistently.
Stuff. Really, consistently. It was quite regular. He used to come 2 or 3 times a week. And that worked. That worked. And I tried everything. I tried the old complementary therapy, the Bowen technique, where they put hands on you and disappear for 10 minutes. And so I tried loads of things, and nothing was really working. But, yeah.
Cool. So just to sum up, what would be your piece of advice that you would give yourself before you did your injury, or shortly after you did your injury? If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
It would be to take the time off, but because life's too short. You have hundreds, especially now with retirement age going up, got plenty of time. Would have been to take that time off. But I probably would still do the same. But I think I would need support from other people to say, do it. Don't take that time off. What are you doing? Because myself, I still wanted to do what I thought was the right thing, which was to keep on going back to work and stuff. So yeah, my advice would be to take the time off, and maybe to encourage other people to do the same if they have that injury.
Commit to giving yourself the time to recover.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you very much.
Right.
Cheers.